Uh, uh, oh my goodness. Tonight is a must win for the Jackets. Tonight is a true must win for the Jackets. Last week we were at 88% to make it into the playoffs. We had 3 big games going into the season. Going into this end of the season. San Jose, Boston, Carolina. Of those 3 games, 1 point. And it was overtime after the collapse on Sunday. Oh. It's not on coaching. This is not on coaching. This is on the players. And tonight is a must win for Columbus. If they lose tonight, I think the season could be in real jeopardy of making the postseason run. We'll talk about it. The Walleye split against Bloomington, had to come from behind on Sunday, get a huge win in overtime against Indianapolis, have clinched the playoff spot. While the Tigers struggle in Arizona, Verlander gets rocked. The Guardians give the Dodgers their first loss of the season. The Reds can't find any runs. And the Mudhens are in action as we're on the air today. As opening day for both the Tigers and the Guardians takes place tomorrow in Cleveland and in Detroit. The Final Four is set. Michigan, Illinois, the 2 Big Ten representatives. UConn upsetting the Dukies. Oh, my bracket gone. And Arizona, who is unbelievable. We're 1 week away from the Masters starting. And 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. A lot to get into tonight, right here on the All Andy Alfred podcast. And with that, I say, I love you guys. And welcome into this edition of All Andy Alfred tonight, right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you are listening to us tonight, wherever and whenever you're listening to us. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, as you can always be a part of the podcast as well, either on Twitter, which is at All Andy Alfred. It is at All Andy Alfred, as well as Facebook.com/All Andy Alfred, as well as on YouTube, where you can watch every episode of All Andy Alfred right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, as we are on the air tonight on this, the second day of April 2026, as this is Holy Thursday, the day of the Last Supper, as we are inching our way closer to Easter Sunday, which will be this Sunday, and tomorrow being Good Friday. Lots to get into, of course, tonight. We'll talk about the Mudhens as well as the Tigers, and the woes that they have been in as of late, the Guardians as well. Also dive into some of the other sports happening, of course, LPGA in action, PGA in action as well, too, as we'll hit our golf recap as well. Also, we'll dive into a little bit more into what's happening in my life as well. And we'll dive into opening day, not going to happen for us at Fifth Third Field, and I'll explain why here in just a second. But again, you can always be a part of our show by following us on Twitter. It is at All Andy Alfred. It is at All Andy Alfred, as well as Facebook.com/All Andy Alfred. So welcome into the show tonight. We're going to start first and foremost with the National Hockey League, and we're going to talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I tell you, the embarrassment that it was on Sunday was the worst embarrassment I've ever expected in the whole league. Absolutely embarrassing. The fact that this franchise and the way that we performed on Sunday. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. The fact that this team, being up 3-0 against the Boston Bruins, as I plug in a couple things here, 3-0 against the Boston Bruins, and the fact that this team does it, just absolutely collapses. And it just kills me. It killed me on Sunday. I had had enough. I called into NHL Network Radio about it, giving the three numbers: 88% puck line, that we were going to make the postseason going into this week, last week. 3 big opponents in front of us, and 1 point out of the whole situation. The 1 point out of the whole situation. We lose in Montreal. After the huge win against Philadelphia, we went 3-2 in Philadelphia on Tuesday. Go to Montreal on Thursday. I was in Cleveland, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. Lose in Montreal. I knew we weren't going to do well in Montreal on Thursday. Montreal needs to get as many points as they possibly can, especially in the division that they're in. You figured that maybe we could get a tie overtime. They lose in regulation 2-1. And we get to Saturday. Saturday's game against San Jose. Now, San Jose is fighting to get into the playoff position. And you figured that San Jose would, give up a contest. And they did. But the Jackets jumping out to that early 1-0 lead with Denton Matejchuk getting in 31 seconds into the game. But then again, I say it again, you capitalize at the end of the period and you get the momentum, and you're going to find the right way of doing things. And that's what San Jose did at the end of the period. And Igor Cheryshev gets his 4th of the season from Smith, and it's 1-1 after 20 minutes of play. Now you get into the second period, Jackets battling back and forth, and Cole Sillinger gets his 9th of the season from Provorov, and it's 2-1 Jackets after 40 minutes. Now, you needed to control a couple key players in this game. And the key one to the whole situation is Macklin Celebrini, who is honestly tearing it up in the National Hockey League this year. And he carved the Jackets up and tying the game in the third period. Not even a minute in, on a power play. You give the penalty at the end of the second period. You're giving them momentum. And what do? They capitalize on it right off the start of the third period. Celebrini, he's 36, from the former Jacket Alexander Wenberg and Orlov. It's 2-2. And you're saying to yourself, all right, if we could get to overtime, we could get a point. And what happens? What happens? A bad break cost the Jackets yet again. And Cherov gets his 5th of the campaign from Celebrini and Smith, 18:35 mark of the third. And the Jackets fall to San Jose 3-2. Outshot in the game, 36-24. They led in the faceoff dot 53% to 47%. Columbus 0 for 1 in the power play. San Jose 1 for 2. Total domination of the game. Merzlikins did a great job. I will give Merzlikins credit on that. He did pretty well. Save percentage of a 3.04. Goals against. Save percentage of .917. Celebrini, the 3rd star, but it was Chernoff, the number 1 star, with 2 goals and 2 points in the game. As it was Nechikov, 22 of 24, saves 9.17. And like I said, Merzlikins stopping 33 of 36. Save percentage of .917. So the Jackets fall to San Jose. Okay, you look at that then. I look at that game, and after the game ended, I said to myself, okay, Boston has to be, this game against Boston is a true must win. If we beat Boston, we are in the drive, a little bit more of a driver's seat out of the situation. And to start the game, it was fantastic. Jenner jumping out, 6:17 mark of the first period, getting the goal, even strength 1-0. And then Mason Marchment, 18th of the campaign from Provorov and Marchenko. It's 2-0 Jackets. And then after that fact, then you had Charlie Coyle, the former Bruin, on the power play towards the end of the period. And I said it again. I say it again. If they score before the end of the period, you got momentum. And they got it. It was 3-0 after 20 minutes of play. Nobody scores in the second. So we're going into the third period up 3-0. Now the momentum was in favor of the Jackets for the majority of the game. It looked like Boston was flat-footed. And by the way, I will say this, a large crowd for both games of visiting opponents on Saturday and Sunday. A lot of Bruins fans on Sunday, a lot of Sharks fans on Saturday. Did not look good for the fan base. I will admit that right now. But then I think the collapse began. Charlie McAvoy gets his 11th of the season from Zacha and Arvidsson. It's 3-1. And I'm sitting there at the Walleye game watching this game, and it's 3-1. I'm like, all right, you got to give him one at least. And then Zacha from McAvoy and Arvidsson on a power play, which was terrible. You can't give Boston a power play opportunity. You just can't do it. And what happens? It's 3-2. Now you're saying to yourself, all right, can we get the opportunity? And Mason Marchment misses the open net. The open net. The open net. And they draw a penalty with less than a minute to play in the game. And they kill us. With less than 10 seconds to go in the game, Zacha from Arvidsson, 3-3. From a 3-0 lead, from a 3-0 deficit to a tie hockey game and 1 point. I felt sick. I felt sick. I felt betrayed. I felt terrible. We go to overtime. Nothing happens in the overtime period. We go to the shootout. Marchenko connects. But Victor Arvidsson beats Jack Graves. And from 3-0, the Bruins win 4-3. Taking the extra point. Dashing the hopes of Nationwide. Dashing. Absolutely dashing. Boston outshot us 39-25 the game. Boston led in the faceoff dot 54% to 46%. Both teams were 50% on the power play. Columbus 1 for 2. Boston 2 for 4, connecting on that game tying goal with less than 10 seconds to go in the period. Jackets did out-hit them 23-21. But again, the bad penalty that Jenner took on to trip McAvoy cost him the game. You can't do that. Penalties killed them. They killed Columbus. Provorov, at the end of the period, I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. Sharon, Redmond were the referees. Greaves in the game. For Boston, it was Jeremy Swayman, 22 of 25, save percentage of .880. For Jet, in the game, stopping 36 of 39, save percentage of .923. So they fall there, and they fall into the wild card position. Okay. So we take a day. You look at the schedule. Carolina comes to town. Now, Carolina are in first place in the Metropolitan Division. The last time we played them, we beat them 5-1 easily. You figured that this game, if we could keep the same momentum and do it well, we could do it. It doesn't. It goes wrong. And the officiating, I have a lot of questions about the officiating in this game, and I'm not going to get into that because some of the officials already admitted that they blew a couple calls post game. They admitted that. But it's on Columbus to be mindful, especially against a Carolina team that's already have clinched a playoff spot. They've clinched a playoff spot. More or less, they have clinched a playoff spot. They will, with the win, they would get 100 points. So, Shane Gostisbehere is a jacket killer, and he's always been a jacket killer when he was with Philadelphia, when he was with Detroit, and now with Carolina. He gets the power play goal, which is, again, the Svechnikov, Fabro gets called for a slash on Niskanen. It's a good call. He faced right in front of the official, and of course, Gostisbehere capitalizes. It's 1-0. 13:29 mark of the period from Svechnikov and Nealers. And then again, not even a few minutes later, another penalty call. Bad call again. Johnson calls for the high stick on Taylor Hall, even though Taylor lifted the stick on Kent Johnson. He gets the call. And it capitalizes yet again as Logan Svensson gets his 15th of the campaign from Tchaikovsky. It's 2-0 Carolina after 20 minutes of play. I say to myself, the Boston game that weekend series is going to kill the Jackets from getting into the playoffs. That's what it is. They're going to be dead by this time. We get into the second period, and they start chipping away. Kirill Marchenko gets his 26th of the campaign for Werenski and Mason Marchment. Even strength. It's 2-1 Jackets. And a lot of back and forth play happens. A lot of, miscues and stuff like that. And we go into after 40 down 1. And I'm saying to myself, okay, we're down 1. We can get a quick goal. We'll be perfectly fine. And what happens? Adam Fantilli capitalizes on the puck and scores from Marchment and Marchenko. It's 2-2 Columbus. 2 minutes and 7 seconds in. All right, we're into the third period. And I'm figuring to myself, oh, we've got an opportunity. We got a serious opportunity of doing it. And then Nikolai Ehlers. From Chatfield and Stain makes it 3-2 Carolina. And then the egregious call. The stupid call. You figured that on that play, bonus challenges the play for goaltender interference. You look at the goal, Greaves is to the side looking at it. He makes contact, but it doesn't work. They fail on the review, and it costs them. A Svechnikov from Ehlers and Aho on the power play capitalizes there. It's 4-2 Carolina. And then at the 19-13 mark, Jordan Mantuk puts it into the empty net, shorthanded, and all of Nationwide, and yours truly, headed out and turned it off. Jackets lose 5-2 to Carolina on a 3-game losing streak now. Now, nobody wants to, and they lose 5-2. Jackets outshot in the game 33-25. In the faceoff dot, Carolina led in the faceoff dot 61% to 39%. They were 3 for 5 on the power play. And again, you can't cause bad penalties. All penalties are bad, but you can't give them bad penalties especially against this team. Columbus had 3 power play opportunities that could not capitalize on any of the power play opportunities. Columbus did out-hit Carolina 23-18 in the game. 3 stars of the game, of course. Marchenko gets the number 2 star. It was Svechnikov, the number 3 star, and Nikolai Ehlers, the number 1 star in the game. For the Hurricanes, it was Bussy stepping up to the plate, 23 of 25, save percentage of .920 in the game. And for Jet Greaves in the game on Tuesday night, 28 of 32, save percentage of .875. So that leads us to now what it is tonight. It is a must-win for the Jackets. They go into the Lenovo Center tonight to take on the same Hurricanes team that we played just 2 nights before on Tuesday night. 7 o'clock drop. Huge game. And this is it. You look at what the schedule has in front of Columbus. This has got to be a must-win. This is a true must-win for Columbus. If they don't win tonight, I'm telling you this, we're out of the playoff picture right now. We'll be out of the playoff picture, and it will be even harder to get back into it for what the schedule looks like going forward. Carolina tonight, you play Winnipeg, who's at home at Nationwide, who is right now trying to get back into the wild card picture themselves. You play Detroit, which we will be at on Tuesday. And I go back to that game again. I will go to this game again. That game is the play-in. You win, you're in. You lose, you're done. Go to Buffalo, who probably will clinch the Atlantic Division. Play Montreal, who is trying to get a better playoff position. Home to Boston, who basically are trying to get into the Atlantic race. They're sitting at 94 points going into today's game. And you finish at Washington, who now is trying to get back into it. And we'll get into the standings here. But again, all the games remaining are playoff compatible teams that are all in the playoff picture. And I won't even put Washington in that playoff picture because they're in the bubble area now with us. So this is a must-win. You look at the keys. Do not take penalties. Do not take penalties. That's one. Number two, you set up the play where it is available. Number 3, do not let them get in front of Jet Greaves or Elvis Merzlikins tonight. And it looks like Elvis will start tonight for Columbus. They need, and this I will prevent it again. This is a true must-win for Columbus tonight. If they don't win, the percentage right now to make the playoffs is 45%. If they lose tonight, it drops down to 21%. Just remember, 2 weeks ago it was 88%. And if you look at the rest of the schedule, You have to win tonight, you have to win Saturday, and you have to win on Tuesday. Because the gauntlet will be hard for Buffalo, Montreal, and Boston before you get to the Washington game. You have to win tonight. And if you don't win tonight, then there's no hope. There's no path, in my opinion. Because everybody is gunning for us. You have Washington sitting in the 6th spot in the wild card race with 85 points. Philadelphia is 37, 25, and 12 with 86 points. I'm looking at the standings right now. Detroit, 39, 27, and 8 with 86 points. And the Ottawa Senators are 38, 26, 10 with 86 points. Columbus is 38, 25, and 12 with 88 points. 2 points separated. Jackets win, and Islander loss, and the Jackets get back to the number 3 spot in the Metro. And then the Islanders fall. And the rest of the league the rest of the league games today is huge. Because you're gonna be scoreboard watching now. Jackets and Hurricanes at 7. Buffalo is in Ottawa to play the Senators. Pittsburgh is in Tampa to play the Lightning. Boston is in Florida to play the Panthers. Montreal is in New York to play the Rangers. The Rangers are garbage right now. But here's the big one. Detroit is in Philadelphia to play the Flyers. Now again, I say it again. You look at that game. Detroit's 86 points. The Flyers are 86 points as well. You play, you win. Winner of that game basically continues on. And the other team basically is falling through. Washington is in New Jersey to play the Devils. And that's how it looks. The standings right now. Buffalo 46, 21, and 8 with 100 points. Tampa 46, 22, and 6 with 98 points. And Montreal 43, 21, and 10 with 96 points. That's the Atlantic. The Metro, Carolina, with their win, got to 100 points. They basically have clinched the Metro. 47, 21, and 6 with 100 points. Pittsburgh is 38, 21, and 16 with 92 points. Who would have thought that Pittsburgh was going to be this good this year? And the Islanders are 42, 29, and 5 with 89 points. There's no chance that Columbus can get the number 1 wildcard spot because Boston has that at 43, 24, and 8 with 94 points. Columbus is 38, 25, and 12 with 88 points. And like I mentioned before, it's a race at 86 between Ottawa, Detroit, Philadelphia, and you have to count Washington into that race, who have 85 points. So between these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams, somebody's going to be knocked out. Somebody is truly going to be knocked out. In the Western Conference, Colorado clinched the playoff spot with 108 points. They're 49, 15, and 10. Dallas has clinched the playoff spot 44, 19, and 12 with 100 points. Minnesota's 41, 21, and 12 with 94 points. Any one of those teams that I mentioned in the 5 race for the wild card could honestly right now be leading in the Pacific Division in the Western Conference, because the Pacific, Anaheim is 41, 29, and 5 with 87 points. 87 points. Edmonton 38, 28, and 9 with 85 points. Vegas is 33, 26, and 16 with 82 points. And now with the new hire, John Tortorella, that's going to be huge for them. Absolutely huge for them. Wild card, Utah's got the top wild card spot. I think they've got that pretty much locked up. 38, 30, and 6 with 82 points. And the Kings right now holding the second wild card spot at 30, 26, and 18 with 78 points. There is a huge race between San Jose, who has 77 points, Nashville, who's got 77 points. You have Winnipeg, who has 76 points. Again, I go back to it again. that the game against Winnipeg is not going to be a pushover matter. Winnipeg is in it, and they play tonight too. They play in Dallas. Dallas has already clinched a playoff spot, so it's a huge matchup. Everett Fitzhugh Seattle Kraken sitting there right there in the 6th spot at 75 points at 32, 30, and 11. And you have St. Louis, who is at 500 at 31, 31, and 12 with 74 points. They are still mathematically in it to get that last wild card spot. So you have 6 teams to get that last wild card spot in the Western Conference. It's huge. And it could also shake up of who is in the Pacific Division because of Seattle and Los Angeles and the Sharks. So it is coming down to the wire, folks. And I love seeing it. I really love seeing it. But it's stressful. It's honestly stressful. Again, a must-win for Columbus tonight. In Carolina, 7 o'clock. They play Carolina. They'll play Winnipeg on Saturday. And then Tuesday, yours truly and a whole hang of a gang hanging up to the slice to see the Red Wings play the Blue Jackets, which will be a must-win for Columbus. Again, it is every game now from now until the Washington game is a must-win for the Jackets. If they don't win tonight, the percentage, like I said, goes down. It is not going to look, it's going to be, in the words of Brady Hoke, not good. So there's that. As you're watching and listening to All Andy Alfred tonight right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network. Whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you're listening to us, wherever and whenever you're listening to us, thank you so much for tuning in. Now let's hit the pond. Let's talk a little walleye hockey, of course. Walleye were in action last night. They took on the Indianapolis Fuel, but let's step back to what the weekend was. Friday night, they took on the Indianapolis Fuel at the Huntington Center. And you look at the game, and for me, the thing is this. You get the call sent down of Carson Bantle and Doucette back to Toledo in the game. And I'm fine with them sending them down. Grand Rapids sends them down. Sends them down. I'm fine with that. What happened on Friday night was just I did not like it. I just didn't like it. And if I was a Walleye fan, I would not like it at all. You lose in a shootout to Indy by the score of 3-2. And Indianapolis is fighting to get into the playoff picture. Same with Bloomington. And you had 2 pivotal games against Bloomington, seeing the overtime game for Bloomington to get the winner on Saturday, which I was there for. And then Sunday was there for the Sunday game, and the Walleye come back and win on Sunday. Rally. They were down 3-0. 3-0 on Saturday night. And they rally back, get to overtime, and lose 4-3. And then Toledo takes the early jump, gets the early lead. Bloomington comes back, and then with 20 seconds and change left to go in the game, the Walleye capitalized and win 4-3. Now we get to last night at Fisher's Arena Event Center. The Walleye took on the Fuel. Huge game, like I mentioned before. Toledo out shooting Indy in the whole game, 48-23. It started off first and foremost with Cam Hutzinger getting his 9th of the campaign from Craigs and Garrett Van Rye at the 10:23 mark of the period. And then it was Cody Lasky getting his goal for Indy at the 13:04 mark of the period from Jordan Martin, and it's 1-1 after 20 minutes. And then in the second period, Mitchell Lewandowski, a cap from Tanner Kelly and Riley Funk. It makes it 2-1 Fish. But then Indy comes back as Marcus Jolangan gets his goal for the night from Tyler Riss, and Cody Lebowski makes it a 2-2 game. And then at just not even 20 seconds later, Jordan Martin gets it from Christopher Cannon and Dan Mutz, and it's 3-2 Indy after 40 minutes of play. And then into the third, and then into the second, at the end of the second, Brendan McCallion gets it from Mitchell Lewandowski and Tanner Kelly. It's 3-3 after 40 minutes of play. Indy jumps out to the early lead in the third period with Lewandowski getting his second of the night from Robinson and Berger. And then at the 8:54 mark of the period, Dylan Moulton gets the tally over Riley from Riley Funk, and Nolan Hutchinson makes it a 4-4 game. And then both teams go into overtime, and then Tanner Dickinson takes it himself. I love this kid out of Perrysburg from Tanner Kelly and Jacob Truska. And the Fish win in Indianapolis by the score of 5-4. Again, Toledo out shooting Indy in the game 48-23 in the game. Penalty minutes in the game. It looks like it was pretty much a clean game. 4 minutes in penalties for Indianapolis, 2 minutes for Toledo in the game. And in the game, here it is. For Toledo, for Indy in the game, their goaltender was Mitchell Weeks, who stopped 43 of 48, save percentage of a .8953. And then for the Fish in the game last night, it was, of course, the one and only Carter Geilander, who coming back from Grand Rapids, stopping a total of 19 of 23 in the game, save percentage of a .82.60. So there is that for you. The Fish get the huge win. Now they come back. They'll continue the road trip. They will go on the road. They'll keep staying on the road this week as they will head to Kalamazoo Friday night, 7 o'clock drop at Wings Event Center. And then Saturday night, April 4th, it will be the Wheeling Nailers to the Huntington Center, 7:15 puck drop for that one. Then Toledo is at home on Friday against Cincinnati. They'll head to Cincinnati on Saturday, April 11th, and then April 12th, they'll be in Fort Wayne to take on the Comets. And then the final week of the season, the two makeup games, they'll be in Fort Wayne on April 16th, and then April 17th at home to take on the Wheeling Nailers. So plenty of tickets available for the final game of the season against Wheeling. Very limited in the game this Saturday as well as this upcoming Friday, April 10th for those games. So get your tickets by calling 419-725-WALL or ToledoWalleye.com. And you could probably try to do the doubleheader Friday. You could try to do the doubleheader next Friday with the Mud Hens and the Walleye, because I think the Mud Hen game is at 6:35, and then the Walleye game's at 7:15. So you could try to do it. Miss the end of the baseball game, but I digress. My apologies for yawning, my friends. But yeah, you look at the rest of the schedule. Yeah, one game that happened this afternoon as the Allen Americans beat up on the Greensboro Gargoyles 8-5. Yeah, games tonight. Orlando is home to play South Carolina. Florida is in Jacksonville. Reading is in Worcester, and Atlanta is in Greenville in that realm. So, with all that said in mind, with the points that they got, 1 point on Saturday, and the Cincinnati loss, Toledo has clinched the playoff position in the Central Division with a record of 39-15-6-5 with 89 points. Fort Wayne has clinched a playoff spot, 39-16-9-0 with 67 points. So coming down the stretch, the games against Fort Wayne are going to be huge because that could be determining who is going to win the division and who's going to get the number one seed to play the 4 seed, because the game last night with Indy gets a point out of it, and they're now 31-24, 9-1 with 72 points, and Kalamazoo is 31-26, 3-3 with 68 points. They are tied with Cincinnati, who is 32-28, 4-0 with 68 points. Bloomington's still there, 31-28, 2-3 with 67 points. And unfortunately, it's going to be the end for the Iowa Heartlanders. They're 21-37, 4-2 with 48 points. Their season comes to an end, and their franchise, in my opinion, comes to an end as well. You look at the Mountain Division, Kansas City has clinched the division and clinched a playoff spot. They're 51-10-2 with 106 points. They're going to probably win the Bradley Cup for the best record overall in the regular season. Idaho is in second at 40-19, 6-1 with 87 points. The Allen Americans, 36-23, 5-0 with 77 points. All three teams have clinched a playoff spot, so it sits between the 4 seed, which is Lake Tahoe, is 32-28, 3-3 with 70 points, and Rapid City, who has got only 60 points. Same with Wichita. They are 27. Rapid City is 27-32, 5-1 with 60 points, and Wichita 25-29, 6-4 with 60 points. And that's the Western Conference, both the Mountain and the Central. You look at the East. In the North Division, the surprise for me is Wheeling. Fantastic. Wheeling having a great season. 43-16, 3-3 with 92 points. And they're playing Toledo twice. That's going to be a great matchup. Maine, both teams, Maine and Wheeling, have clinched playoff spots. Maine is 38-17, 6-2 with 84 points. Reading is 34-21, 7-2 with 77 points. And the Adirondack Thunder are 34-21, 7-1 with 76 points. Trois Riviere has really took a step back after what happened last season with them getting into the play, winning the Cup. They're 30-27, 3-4 with 67 points. And Worcester sitting there 27-29, 5-2 with 61 points. Norfolk 26-34, 4-0 with 56 points. And Greensboro, with their loss today, are now 18-39, 6-1 with 43 points. Not a good look for Biz and the Spitting Chiclet guys with that franchise down there. South basically has been clinched by the Florida Everblades. They're 43-13, 6-3 with 95 points. Atlanta 42-19, 2-1 with 87 points. South Carolina 41-20, 1-3 with 86 points. Those top three teams clinch a playoff spot. It just depends on who's going to be seated where. The 4 seed right now sits at Savannah, who is at 500 at 31-31, 3-1 with 66 points. Jacksonville's right there at 26-30 and 7-1 with 60 points. Greenville 24-30, 7-1 with 56 points. Orlando 25-35, 4-1 with 55 points. So there's what the ECHL is. Again, Walleye in action in Kalamazoo Friday night. They will be returning back home to the Huntington Center Saturday on Holy Saturday to take on the Wheeling Nailers, and then they'll be back on Friday to take on the Cincinnati Cyclones. So there is all that. So we'll, again, Fish, big game. Big games for the Fish. Big games for the Jackets. It's a must win for the Jackets again tonight against Carolina. I will keep premising that so much. As you're watching and listening to All Andy Alfred today, right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you're listening to us, wherever and whenever you're listening to us, thank you so much for tuning in. Now let's talk a little baseball, of course. Tomorrow, opening day in Detroit as the Tigers take on the St. Louis Cardinals in a 3-game series before they hit the road to go to Minnesota. It's a quick 3-game homestand for the Tigers. And we'll get you the rotation here in just a second. But to recap what we have seen so far for the Tigers so far has been an up and down battle, in my opinion, what they've gotten so far this season. Now, the Tigers opened up the road schedule. They opened up the season on the road in San Diego, and Kevin McGonigal has just been hitting the cover off the ball, and I love every minute of it. I love every minute of what I've seen with this kid. This kid is absolutely amazing. And they win the opener 8-2. Schoolville, a great outing. in this game. They go on Friday night to take on the Padres. And Wilson Valdez, stunning gem of a performance. They win 5-2 over the Padres. You get to Saturday, they fall against the Padres. Flaherty struggled in the game. You knew it was going to come sooner or later. They get shut out in San Diego by the score of 3-0. Flaherty gets the loss. He's 0-1 with a 4.15. Vasquez gets the win. He goes to 1-0 with a 0 ERA. Final stat line: Tigers 0 runs, 2 hits, 1 error. The Padres 3 runs on 7 hits, no errors. They had a big third inning with Tatis, and it was a big win for the Padres to salvage a little bit of it. And then we get to this past week, this week. We get to Monday night, big game, coming off of a day off on Sunday. The debut, the return of Justin Verlander. You figured that Verlander, he's a little older, a little bit more, seasoned. The return, you figure that Verlander would, be good. No. Didn't make it out of the second inning. 2 runs in the first, 3 runs in the second. It was 5-0 after 4 innings. You look at it, Verlander, 3 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, all 5 earned, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. He gives up the home run in the game. His ERA is a 12.37. Oh. Doesn't help. De Jesus comes in, 3 runs, 3 hits. All 3 runs were earned, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. It was bad. And for the home opener for Arizona, they get the win. They get the Tigers to 2-2. Verlander the loss. Sorokin the win. Stewart gets the save in the game. Tigers fall to Arizona in game 1 of the series. You get to game 2. You figure Casey Mize might help and stop a little bit of the bleeding. Ain't going to happen. Again, the Tigers fall yet again to Arizona by the score of 7-5. Now, Vest gets the loss. He's 0-1 with a 13.50 ERA. Hoffman the win. He goes to 1-0 with a 0 ERA. For Mize in the game, did pretty well. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run. That run was earned. 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. He gave up the 1 run, which was the home run he gave up in the game, which was, and the Tigers jumped out to that early 5-0 lead in the third inning. And I gotta say, Padel looked rocked. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, all of which were earned. 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. His ERA now is a 7.50. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, yeah. Tigers fall in game 2 of the series. And then you get to yesterday. They get swept in the series by the Diamondbacks, and they lose 1-0. They lose 1-0 to the Diamondbacks. Not good. Not good. Even though Skubal pitched very, very, very well in this game, and he like I said, he pitched a gem of a ball game. McGonigal's hitting the cover off the ball. He's hitting that 364 right now. He had 4 plate appearances. He had 2 hits in the game. Skubal, 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run. That run was earned. He gave up the home run, but 3 strikeouts in the game. Riley Green struck out twice. you look at the averages, and I can't jump early to this. We're 6 games into the season. We're 2-3 to start the season. Excuse me, 2-4 to start the season. I look at this. Baez 143, Green 200, Torres 200, Carey freaking Carpenter .091, Matt Vierling 125.125, Keith 364, McGonigal 364, Dingler 313. All your productions there. But again, it's not contributing to runs, especially yesterday, getting shut out by the Diamondbacks. So now the Tigers will hit the road, come back home. After the road trip, they'll play a quick 3-game series against St. Louis, which will start tomorrow, 1:10 first pitch on the bump tomorrow. Big game, and then they will play them on Saturday, Sunday night's game, a 7:20 first pitch, and Justin Verlander's return to Comerica Park on Sunday to play the Cardinals at 7:20. That game only on Peacock or on the NBCSN network. And then they'll hit the road for 4 games against Minnesota, returning back to Detroit to play the Marlins for 3 games straight. And then they'll have a day off, 3 games against the Royals. Then they'll hit to Boston, back home to Milwaukee, and then in Cincinnati for 3 games at the end of the month, and then in Atlanta to take on the Braves. So there is how that shakes out. So the Tigers 2-4 to start. Opening day tomorrow, 1:10 first pitch. On the other side of the lake, of course, you have the Guardians. The Guardians in action this past. They were started their road trip schedule with the pivotal games, 3 games against the Seattle Mariners. Huge games, huge games. I would say I forgot, is it 3 or 4 games? I'm gonna have to look really quickly for you guys. It was a 4-game series, 4-game series to start, and they split the series with the Mariners getting the big 6-4 win on opening day in Seattle. You then lose on Friday night on Apple TV 5-1. You get the big win on Saturday, 6-5 to the Mariners, and then get shut out by the Mariners on Sunday, 6-1. The big one was Monday night. You go into Chavez Ravine to take on the Dodgers. Huge game. Dodgers, coming off of the World Series win that they had the momentum coming into this game after their big series win that they had, and the Guardians go in there and get the job done. They win 4-2 over the Dodgers in the game. Medzik, the win, he goes to 1-0 with a 0 ERA. Selatsky, the loss, he goes to 0-1 with a 2.25 ERA for the Guardians in the game. Guardians, it was Medzik going 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, none earned, 5 strikeouts in this game. And then you had Kwan with 1 RBI. You had Rhys Hoskins pinch hitting, getting the RBI. And then you had, of course, Sheeman, who is just hitting the cover off the baseball, continuing the momentum. He's batting a .231 right now. .616 on base percentage. Guardians with the big win. And they win by the score of 4-2. They fall on Tuesday to the Dodgers by the score of 4-1. Then yesterday, they closed out the series with the Dodgers and get the big win, 4-1 over the Dodgers. Huge win for the Guardians. Take 2 of 3 from the world champions. It's very, very good to do to start early in the season. And if you get the Dodgers early, that's where you want to have it. Williams gets the win. He goes to 1-1 with a 2.25 ERA. Yamamoto, the loss, he goes to 1-1 with a 3 ERA for the Guardians in the game. It was Williams going 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts in the game. ERA now at 2.25 ERA for the Dodgers. Like I said, Yamamoto, the loss, he goes to 0-1 with a 3 ERA. He went 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs. Those 2 runs were earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. He gave up a home run in the game. And by the way, that home run was a big dinger for Arias, his first of the season for the Guardians, and the Guardians getting a big 4-1 win over the Dodgers. And now they'll head back to the corner of Ontario and Carnegie to take on the Chicago Cubs in a big pivotal 3-game series to open up the season, home side of the season. 4:10 first pitch for tomorrow's game, and then Saturday's game 7:15 first pitch, and then Sunday a 1:40 first pitch against the Cubs. Then they'll have 3 games against the Royals. They'll hit the road for 3 in Atlanta, 3 in St. Louis for a 4-game series against the Orioles, 3 against the Astros, and then to end the month of April, 3 in Toronto, and then 3 at home against the Tampa Bay Rays. So a huge series for the Guardians. And a huge series for the Tigers going forward. The Reds, unfortunately, have been struggling as of late. They started out their schedule. They played the Boston Red Sox to start the season, and it was not a good start for the Redlegs, as we're talking MLB baseball right here on All Andy Alfred. The Reds struggling. And I told you this, and by the way, I got to give credit to Logan and to Lucas for doing the show, doing the MLB preview edition. I want to thank them again for being on the podcast and doing it. You lose to Boston on opening day 3-0. You get shut out. But then you win on Saturday against Boston 6-5 and win 3-2. And then you get the Pirates. Now, you figure that the Pirates, they get rocked on opening day against the Mets on national television. Skeens gets rocked in the game. Reds take game 1 of the series 2-0. They lose on Tuesday by the score of 8-3. And then yesterday, Paul Skeens gets the nod in the game. And he pitched one hell of a gem of a game to bounce back. And he saw the Reds and he licked his chops. I will give you that. I will give you that. Paul Skeens, a great outing for him yesterday. He gets the win. He goes to 1-1 and helps that ERA, drops it down to a 9.53. Abbott, the loss. He goes to 0-1 with a 3.09 ERA for the game. And by the way, Abbott went 5 2/3, 5 hits, 4 runs. Those 4 runs were earned, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. He gave up 1 home run in the game, but for Paul Skeens, a gem of a game for him. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. That run was earned, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. ERA dropped to a 9.53 in the game. O'Neill Cruz, a big bomb, his 3rd of the campaign. In the first inning off of Abbott was the home run that he gave up. The Reds lose 8-3 to the Pirates. 8 runs on 9 hits, no errors for the Pirates. 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Redlegs in the game. So now the Reds will hit the road. They'll play a 3-game series against the Texas Rangers at the ballpark in Arlington. And then you will have the Reds then continuing the road trip, as they will then head to Miami for 4 games in Miami before they welcome in the Los Angeles Angels for a 3-game series, and then the Giants for a 3-game series before they head to Minneapolis, and then to Tampa, and then they'll come back home to play the Tigers for 3 and the Rockies for 3 going forward to end the month of April. So looking at the rest of MLB's schedule, games that are happening today, as yesterday was a lot of games were getaway days. The Blue Jays and White Sox game was postponed. They're going to make that game up tomorrow. The White Sox are 1-5 to start the season. Toronto 4-2. Minnesota 5-1 win over Kansas City. And then you have 2 late games tonight. Atlanta is in Arizona, and the Mets are in San Francisco. And by the way, the Mud Hens are in action as we speak right now. Mud Hens are playing right now in Syracuse. They've opened up the series in Lehigh Valley this past weekend. I'll give the Mud Hens a little bit of a plug really quickly for you. Mud Hens were in action, and Let me see here for you. I wanted to get to they're in bottom of the fourth inning right now. Mudhens are up 8-1 on Syracuse right now. 8-1 on Syracuse right now. And they've got a good team this year, and Alvarez is going to have that team ready to go for the season. I have questions. How much is everything going to take place? They lost yesterday 4-2. They'll play Syracuse tomorrow, Friday at 4:05, and then Syracuse Saturday, Sunday, and then they'll come back for a 6-game series against St. Paul. Then 6 in Louisville. Then they're back home for 6 against Omaha, and then they're on the road to play Columbus for 6 straight. And by the way, in March, they get swept by Lehigh Valley 3 straight games, and they won their first game on Tuesday against Syracuse by the score of 5-1. So there's all that set up, and that is all of the talk around the diamond right here on All Andy Alfred, as you're listening and watching All Andy Alfred tonight right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you're listening to us, wherever and whenever you're listening to us. Thank you so much for tuning into the show tonight. And of course, we have now hit the Final Four. It is a big matchup, of course, as it is Illinois taking on UConn in the first game, and in the second game it will be Arizona versus Michigan. As the Final Four comes into Indianapolis this weekend, the game's on Saturday, and then the national championship game will be on Monday night. So there is that for you guys. By the way, the winner of the bracket, I will have the winner of the bracket challenge for you here momentarily. Now, on the women's side of the bracket looks like this. Of course, for the women's side of things, we're down to the Final Four in the women's bracket, and the national championship game for that will be played on April 5th, which will be on Sunday night, Easter Sunday, as it will be all four number ones playing each other. UConn will play South Carolina, and UCLA will play Texas. I kind of told you there was going to be a chalk in that round, but it got close in the end. UConn beating Notre Dame 70-52 in the Elite Eight was something, and then UCLA beating Duke 70-58 there in that round too. And Texas throttling Michigan 77-41, and South Carolina dominating TCU 78-52 to get you to the Final Four between these two teams. National championship game. The Final Four will take place Friday, and the national championship game will take place on Sunday. So there is on that realm. Also got a plug, of course, as well, what's happening on the golf course right now, as it's time for our golf recap and our golf preview, of course, as we're inching ourselves closer to next week, which is the Masters. Of course, the big one, of course, the PGA is in action right now, as it is the TPC San Antonio Valero Texas Open taking place right now. And leading right now is Tony Finau, 6 under par. Thompson, 6 under par. Will Zalatoris, 5 under par, tied for third. Tommy Fleetwood, 5 under par as well, 2 in that realm. And then the LPGA in action, as they're in Vegas at Shadow Creek Golf Course. Lauren Conklin, 5 under par right now. Nasahata Oka, 5 under par as well too. Marichia Yasushita, 5 under par as well in the tournament, as well as they're in the first round of that play out there in Vegas. And also the Augusta Women's National Amateur Tournament is taking place. Been watching a little bit of that. I like watching that. First 2 rounds are taking place outside of Augusta National, and then the final is taken in Augusta, and that will be on Saturday. So if you're interested to watch that, And then, of course, Sunday is their putt, chip, and drive challenge, which I like watching the young kids giving an opportunity to play that course and to compete on that course as well too, which leads us to the Masters, and which now leads us to Andy Rants tonight, and two folds to it. the whole situation with Tiger Woods. I think we have seen the end of Tiger. I think Tiger is no more. After the DUI that took place and how it all breaks down, I think we've seen the end of Tiger Woods. To have that happen, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times, it's enough. Somebody that has been so important to the game and so important to growing the game. I grew up watching him and Phil Mickelson battling it out for who's the number one. I always liked Lefty. I've always liked Phil. And the fact that Tiger is this way, it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart as a golf fan. It breaks my heart as a human being to see this happen. To a guy that has done so much for the game. To do this. To put people's lives in danger for his actions. And to be charged with the DUI like that by not just giving the sample. It's just embarrassing. So I think we've seen the end of Tiger Woods in all of sports, and especially in golf. He signed up to play in the senior tour. And it's just it's embarrassing. It's just sad. It's honestly sad. My thoughts and prayers are with the Woods family as he battles the demons that are in him. It's just a shame. It honestly is just a shame. It's just a shame. So yeah. And then hearing the words today that Phil Mickelson is not going to play the Masters for personal, family, medical reasons kind of hurts me a little bit. I kind of wore black today because of it. Besides, it could be the death of the Blue Jackets season. I like Phil. Phil has always been good. The way that he left the PGA to go to play LIV kind of hurt a little bit. I like the fact that he won in the PGA Championship. I hope he gets to play in the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open. But to see him compete on the Masters stage, I like seeing that. He's one of my favorites I like to watch. And going into the Masters, it's going to be interesting to see who the betting odds are going to be for. Will it be for Rory? Will it be for Oberg? Or will it be for Bryson DeChambeau? Will it be who will come alive when we get to the Masters? And it'll be huge. It's going to be huge. A lot of people, including myself, believe that the Masters is the official start of the golf season. I know it's been cold and rainy and damp in Northwest Ohio, but a lot of the northern courses are just now starting to open up. When the Masters goes on, and after the Masters is on, for a lot of us, it means it's the start of the golf season. And I look forward to hitting the links this year, getting a chance to sink some balls onto the green and putting it in for more birdies and less bogeys, of course. So our golf coverage, of course, and that was Andy Rants. Our golf coverage, again, sponsored by our good friends at Scramble Stick and the new Scramble Stick clip. Scramble Stick makes your life easy, makes not just your golf life easier, but your life easier as well, too. Visit scramblestick.com for ordering information as well, and it is made in the USA. So we're also 2 weeks away, of course, from WrestleMania. We're getting into that run where everything's happening. We have, of course, the 2 big matches, the main event matches. You have Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes on night 1, and night 2 will be CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. The rest of the card looks really, really good. I like this Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar match. I like the match that's going to be Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer. That's going to be a really good match. Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. Very, very good match. You'll have the Intercontinental Championship match that's going to be done off the ladder. I don't like the fact that they did this, and the stars that are fighting in this match, to me, aren't that great. So there's that realm. You have the Women's World Tag Team Championship. It's going to be a fatal 4-way between the Bella Twins, Charlotte, and Alexa Bliss. You have the Irresistible Forces, which is Nia Jax and Lash Legend, and you have Bayley and Lyra Valkyria as the 4 teams in that realm. I like that. It's going to be good. You have Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee for the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. U.S. women's match, I think it's going to be Tiffany Stratton versus Julia in that realm. They haven't made that official yet. I think that's where they're headed. And then, I have questions on the World Tag Team Championship, the Usos. You have Sami Zayn facing Trick Williams for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. I think that's going to be a really good match. And then you have this Logan Paul. Yeah, the Uso match. It's going to be the Usos and LA Knight versus Logan Paul, Austin Theory, who are now the World Tag Team Champions, and Io Speed. Now, if you haven't seen the clip yet, go look it up. Io Speed was interrupted today on his stream by LA Knight. Go look it up. It's pretty funny. Very funny clip on that realm. But I mean, WrestleMania is laying the table. Table's laid out. But again, I bring it up again. The ticket prices are so outrageous, and people are not paying for these tickets. They are not. To sit ringside at WrestleMania is over $10,000. A few years ago at WrestleMania 17 that took place in Seattle, there was a picture that's out there. To sit ringside was $400. Unbelievable, just how big WrestleMania has become. Hell, I'm struggling to make the plans to go to Saturday night's main event that's in Fort Wayne. And then the next Monday, they're at the Schatzstein Center. So, and the ticket prices are outrageous there for Saturday night's main event. Where I sat for the Walleye Fort Wayne playoff game, it's $180 for a television show. Yeah. So, there's that. So, by the way, everything is going well with me. Work's going good. Getting ready to, I'm going to take a hiatus a little bit from being on stage until we get to the fall of 2026, which, by the way, a lot of great shows coming in 2026 between The Village, The Rep, and by the way, got to give credit to all the people that came out and supported the Toledo Voices in 2026 and the great work that these playwrights did and the directors did and all of us actors did. It was absolutely fantastic. So again, I got to give credit and props to Joe and to Liz and to all the board members for the rep for this fantastic. And go see local theater, please. Go see local theater and support local theater in that realm. So again, I want to thank Lucas and Logan for being on the podcast last week for our MLB preview edition. Of course, we'll have them back on. We'll have Lucas definitely back on for the first Saturday in May with the Kentucky Derby coming up. Of course, that will be about 4 weeks from now. So there's that. Also got to give a plug, of course, Tuesday. Again, we will not be at Mud Hen opening day as we will be in Detroit for the big game between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Detroit Red Wings. Win and you're in. Lose and you're done. And again, I will state this again. Tonight is a must-win for the Blue Jackets. The Jackets on the ice tonight to take on the Carolina Hurricanes here in about an hour or so as we're getting closer to puck drop in that realm. So that is all the time I have for you tonight right here on All Andy Alfred. Again, happy Easter to you, of course. Remember, he has risen. for us. And have a good Friday, of course, and a Holy Saturday, and a special happy Easter to you all going forward. Again, opening day for the Tigers tomorrow, opening day for the Guardians, opening day for Mud Hens on Tuesday, and the big game between the Jackets and the Red Wings. We'll talk about all that. And by the way, got to give a props and shout out to Cleveland. We went to the Monsters game last Thursday at this time. Had a fantastic time. Great tickets. Great venue. First time at Rocket Arena. I enjoyed my time there. It was a good time. The Monsters unfortunately lost to the Grand Rapids Griffins by the score of 5-2. So basically I've been in a losing funk. So hopefully tonight turns the direction for hockey for me. So until I talk to you guys next week, happy Easter again. And remember, he has risen. And until then, this is Andy Alfred saying I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together. The game of life. Keep your stick on the ice. And to the teams you root for at home, to my teams, go Jackets! Get it done tonight against Carolina. Go Walleye. Get it done in Kalamazoo and come on home to play Wheeling. Go Tigers, go Guardians, go Reds, and go Hens. And more birdies and less bogeys, because victory is sweetest when you have tasted defeat. Have a great week, everybody. Happy Easter. And I will talk to you guys next week on All Andy Alfred. Love you. Talk to you then.